Um, so this is Select Tutorial, which is a website. It's really old, but it's kind of a nicely organized site on different selectors. So we've been through most of this, but there's information on or examples of child selectors and descendant selectors and type selectors and ID and child and universal selectors and all that kind of stuff. There's also some tutorials on floats and things, but it's, like I said, it's really old, but they left it up and I'm not sure who even did this. It's kind of like a relic, but it's still all pretty up to date, I think, as far as the basics go. There are also, since we're here, so this is Select Tutorial, which I put the link right there. But there's also List-O-Matic, which is a site that I used to use, but you could still use it. It has different navigation bars. So there's vertical and horizontal navigation bars. Let's say I wanted to see, you know, different navigation bars, and all these are our lists. That's a pretty basic one that you see a lot, kind of stat style, and it gives you the code for them as well. So these are all constructed from lists. There's the HTML, and then here's the CSS. So it's all in there. And you could kind of use those as a template if you wanted to for navigation bars. And there's all kinds of different styles and things in there. So that's List-O-Matic. There's also List-O-Matic 2, which is just more, probably a little newer, but these are all pretty old. I don't think any of these use Flexbox, for example, but they are a pretty good resource for just seeing how things work. So that's listed right there. So on your own this week, outside of class time, take a look at chapter 4 on Principles of Beautiful Web Design. That's on typography. So we're going to start talking about typography more, which is the design of type. I have a video lecture on the creating equal height boxes and cards. I'll show you that file today, but you can watch the video offline and see how that works. But it's probably pretty useful. There's a lot of that pattern. So you might hear the term design pattern. So a design pattern is just things that people do kind of across the web. And one is making these little cards, which I'll show you, or boxes. They're basically boxes of repeating content. Then I have a video on creating an animated GIF from a video, which I actually will go through this today too. It's pretty fast, but there's a video of that. And there's also a video of creating animated GIFs in Photoshop, which I'm going to do that as well. But this one is different than the one I'm going to do today. But it's to help with assignment 14. So assignment 14 is to create an animated GIF of your own. And I'll come back to this in a minute. Well, actually, yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. Assignment 15 is just that critique that I mentioned. So what you're going to do for assignment 15 is download this file, which is a sort of a guide. So if I click on that, you should be able to get it. And it just goes through things that you can think about or use as criteria, or like a rubric. Some people call it a rubric, to evaluate a website. So it's things like what were your initial impressions of the website? Can you quickly get a sense of what it's about? Does it have a clear purpose? Things like that. And then you can evaluate the content. Does it communicate the message, whatever the message is supposed to be? Does it have interesting content for the target audience? So you kind of have to pretend you're in the target audience a little bit. Is the content well written? So the content, the text is important, right? That's the main thing that drives a lot of things, and images, but text. What content was the most compelling or interesting? What was the least compelling or interesting? The whole point of this is to put a fresh set of eyes on these designs and these websites that you guys did to get a different perspective, right? And it's important to do that because when you're working on a site, you kind of don't see it the way anybody else does after a while because you know it so well, you made it, right? You might miss simple things that you could do to improve it. Just seeing it from a fresh perspective. It's user testing basically, but this is sort of an evaluation after, but you can do this during the whole process of creating the site too. You could look at the overall look and feel of the site. That's the design. Some people call it the art direction. Did the design fit the content? Meaning does the style of the site, the design style, fit what you're talking about in the site? Was it visually appealing? You know, that's kind of subjective, but you can talk about that. Is it comparable at all viewport sizes? So what I did on a lot of your websites, right, is I resized the browser. And you can also use that preview mode that I showed you guys, I think, where you can change to a mobile preview mode. But you can also just drag the browser in and out to see how things work at different sizes. So we haven't done a whole lot of responsive stuff. We did a little bit changing from 2 columns to 1. But yeah, so that's what that's about. And then the typography. Is the site text relevant? Is it readable? That's pretty important, right? Are the line lengths okay? Typically, you want line lengths that are 3 to 4 or 5 inches physically in size, because if they get really long, they're hard to find the beginning of the next line. Not hard, but harder. And if they get really short, then it's kind of fatiguing because you're reading 3 or 4 words and then going to the next line. So you want line lengths that are a few inches apart, like, or a few inches wide, 3 or 4 inches, something like that. And it talks about that, I think, in your typography chapter in the book. Were the fonts appropriate? Did they make sense? So we'll talk about, probably next week, we'll talk about picking fonts that make sense for your content and your subject and things like that. Then you can talk about navigation. Was it intuitive? Intuitive means what? It means that you don't have to think about it, right? You just kind of know what it means, know what it does. So were the naming of and labeling of the links clear? Was it kind of a mystery what the link meant? Was navigation visible? Was it always consistent in appearance and location? So we talked about how you don't want to really move your navigation around or change its appearance a whole lot if it's global navigation on every screen. And did it adjust okay to different viewport sizes? And like I said, we haven't really done responsive navigation, so that's, you know, do what you can do with that. Images, were they appropriate? Were they consistent in style? Not just, you know, illustrations and then photographs of different styles that are obviously kind of mishmash design. Were they sized okay? Did they look okay at different viewport sizes? You guys have the basic responsive image code already, so that should be okay. Pretty easy to do, right? Were they optimized? You don't really have to look at that. That's kind of more back end. Meaning, are the files the right size, or are they okay, or are they giant files? But that's something you should think about yourself. Does the site have an appropriate balance of text versus image content? So you don't want too much text and no images, usually, because it can be off-putting for people, right? And you don't want to have a ton of images and no text, because that's just kind of filler, right? Unless it's a gallery or something, but it depends what kind of site it is too. The composition of the pages, that means the layout. So how are things spread around the screen? Not too cluttered. Remember we saw those horrible websites a couple months ago. Seems like a long time ago, right? Easy to distinguish areas with different content. So you don't confuse navigation with content and things like that. Is there a good balance to the composition, to the layout? Is it spread around in a nice and pleasing way? Is there enough white space or empty space? Not too much where it feels kind of spaced out and empty, or not too little where it feels cramped and too busy, right? And again, try to check if it works at different viewport sizes or how it works. Then we talk about color. Do the colors seem like they go together? Is there some color scheme? And do they fit the content or the brand, if there's a brand, right? And then lastly, good functionality and usability. Ease of use is important, right? How easy is the site to use? Can they go where they want? Can the user go where they want to go easily and efficiently? This should be pretty easy on your sites because there are only 2 pages, right? So, and was the information organized logically? So that's information architecture, which we talked about a couple of 6 weeks ago, something like that. So that is the sort of guide to use for assignment 15, and you only have to look at one site. So you're looking at one site. So what you're going to do is you're going to download that file, which is this file, which is linked right here. And then there's a link to the actual assignment files. So if I click on that, hopefully it works okay. It's in a Dropbox folder. So there are the submissions so far, and I'll add any more that come in. I'll try to add those in. And of course, Dropbox changed. This is Dropbox, company Dropbox, right? They changed their interface again, and it's not really obvious how you download these. Do you guys see how to download this? Anybody see it? Where would you think you can download this folder? You guys can unmute. Are you doing the chat room? Hold on. People are chatting. Chat. No, nothing. Anybody have any ideas?
The blue box?
Maybe where it says share.
Share this one?
Yeah, they have a little arrow. Yeah.
Nope. It's not, I don't think it's good design. So that's why I'm asking you guys. They changed it. It used to have a big download button, which would make sense, right?
Isn't it the arrow on the very side?
This one?
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to point out how this is maybe not great.
So you're just going to hit enter.
Enter, go in it. You mean click on it?
Double click.
Yeah, right click.
Yeah,
And then you see all of them. I want to download the whole folder. But then I can't download it here either. It is, I'll tell you what it is. It's this little ellipsis right there.
Lovely.
I click there and it goes download. So it's like a little menu icon, right? With download.
Why
But
it creates so suspense?
yeah, it's a mystery, right? So I don't think that's a good design.
But
It
no
used to have a
surprise.
big download button, which was obvious, right? It's not like there's no space here for a download button. So anyway, you click here and then you click download and it downloads the whole thing, I think. Yeah, there it goes. And then it downloads and then you'll see everybody's assignments in there. So that's how you do it. So then on, let me go to, I gotta go to Canvas. So in Canvas, in the week 10 module, we're in week 10. There is a assignment 15 critique forum. And then here is the same link to the same Dropbox folder. And I had to do this little image here about how to do that because it's not obvious. And then you can basically take this, I did a one reply. You can take this text here and copy it and then click reply here and then paste it in and then review the site. So the site that you're reviewing is the one below yours. I think that's what I have in there. Yeah. So you do the one who's below yours, and if you're at the bottom, you do the person at the top. Does that make sense? So come up with as many responses as you can. I have 5 to 10 comments, but you can definitely do more than that. Come up with as many responses as you can that answer some of these questions. So maybe you should try to do at least one of these each. Maybe that's what I should say. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you just put that into the into your reply. Does that sound good? You're all like, yay, that sounds like so much fun. I can hear you at your house. Okay, so that is assignment 15. Anybody have any questions about that?
Yes, I have a question. So in the answers we have also put the examples as a samples. We have to do something to do in practically.
You're looking at other students' assignment 13s. So you're going to download assignment 13 on this Dropbox, and then you're going to go to this discussion forum in the week 10 module,
lief. Dank
and
je.
then just comment on these different categories.
Yeah.
Using,
So my question on the comments
Heb je best wel goed geslapen, hè?
with do some examples like a topography. I will do some as an example and then reply on these answers.
no, you don't have to do any examples. You're just commenting on theirs.
Okay.
So you're just looking at typography. You could say, I like the use of the font that for the headings. I think it fit, or something like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to do any examples, no.
Okay.
Any other questions about that one?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. The other assignment, so that's one. And then the other one is assignment 14, which is to do an animation. So there are examples here. Well, here's the assignment, and then I'll show you how to do it, actually. So you're going to create an animated GIF. You can do it in Photoshop. It's to promote a product for sale. So I highlighted that because, so you are doing, it's basically advertising, right? So don't just make an animation of, a flower or something like that. It has to be, you're promoting a product for sale or promotion or something. So there has to be something that you're trying to get the user to buy or look at or sign up for or something like that. There's a video, like I said, of one style of animation, which you'll see, which uses motion and things, but I'm going to demo a different one today. So you'll see two different styles. There are samples too that you can download in the weekly module, and then I'm going to show you some now. So the requirements are, you can use an image of the product from a website or catalog as a component of your animation, but you must create your own original animation. So what I mean by that is you can download product shots from the internet. So that's what I did when I was doing a sample a minute ago, or the one I'll show you. So I was doing one about Target and grocery shopping. So I downloaded images of food. So you can do that. That's fine. The size is 970 by 250. So the one I'm going to show you today is not that size, but the one you guys are doing, you're all doing 970 by 250. So, and that's the one that's in the video as well. It's a different size. So let me show you, there's a file that I can give you guys. If I can find it here, let's see. Yeah. So this is from Google. This is a guide to ad sizes. These are typical internet ad sizes. And the one I'm going to show you guys as an example is 300 by 250. It's called a medium rectangle. But there's all kinds of different sizes. You guys, for your assignment, are doing this one, 970 by 250, which is called a billboard. So these are standard advertising, web advertising sizes, according to Google, which they are the experts, right? So, and I can probably give you this file too, but if you look up ad sizes, you'll see that too, or internet ad sizes. So you're doing that size. I'm doing one of the other versions, but the animation has to be at least 4 frames, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. And it has to be less than 200 kilobytes. So when you're done with it and you make your animated GIF, it's less than 200 kilobytes when it's done. I used to have a lot smaller size, but so this should be pretty easy to do 200 kilobytes. Remember that GIFs work better with images that have fewer colors. So if you try to use a bunch of full color images, your final image is probably you're gonna have difficulty making it look good because you only have 256 colors, remember, for a GIF. And your file size is going to be hard to work with. So try to think about using images that have similar colors, or they don't have a lot of colors. So you'll have to kind of work through that. Try to communicate your information effectively and efficiently. So you don't have to have a ton of frames or a ton of images. It just has to be efficient and quick. Remember that people don't really want to look at ads, right? So you're not going to get them to look forever. Don't use Photoshop artboards because in the past, artboards would mess these up. But I just did one with an artboard and it seemed to be okay. So maybe I'll take that out. Maybe they fixed it. It was kind of a bug, I think, because it would do really weird things. So I think artboards might be okay. There's a link to a help file here from, this is from Adobe, creating frame animations. So some of the stuff that we'll look at, you can see how to do that in here. So that is right there. And then there's linked to other Photoshop files. And then this is the one I'm going to show you in a second. Actually, is this the right one or a different one? Oh, this is a different one. There's a bunch of sites that will convert video to GIFs. I will show you that in a minute. But I wanted to show you some examples from real animated GIFs. So this is an article from a few years ago, but, and I should step back and say, like, why are we doing animated GIFs? Animated GIFs have been around forever. They were really popular, and then Flash kind of took over a little bit for advertising, or for animation, actually. And then Flash, like we've talked about, is kind of going away because it's not accessible and it's a closed system and things like that. And then GIFs made this kind of huge comeback, and you see them all over. They're used a lot. Other kinds of animation are also done using JavaScript and coding and things like that. HTML5 animation, people might call it. But GIFs are still around and pretty popular again. And they're fairly easy to make. So these are some examples from, and you see them in, these are from advertising emails. So this one's from Anthropology. So you think about keeping your number of frames, and a frame is just each individual image in the animation. You want to keep your number of frames fairly small. So that helps you with file size. So you have to be kind of creative and kind of efficient, right? Here's another one. So you'll see a lot of them like this, where most of the screen, most of the image is the same or similar. This one actually changes quite a bit. But I don't know how many frames are in this, but a frame is each one of these still images, right? So I'm thinking there's like 4 or 5 maybe. Hard to say. Here's another one. This is for art.com. So you see this room, and the only thing that changes in each frame is what's on the wall, the artwork on the wall. So that will help with file size too. If you change less of the frame, less of the image size, this isn't changing, right? This is the same all the time. It'll help with the file size. Here's some clothing ones. So this is some of the clothing site changes around. And these are fairly easy to make as far as technically. Not design-wise, they're not as easy, but they're pretty easy technically, and you'll see that in a minute. Here's another one. This one's kind of cute with the little dolls. I like this one. It's very short, but it's just kind of this almost film kind of thing where you've got this slow zoom in New York City, which, yeah, and it's snowing. Here's another one for clothes. So again, the background is all the same, but this area changes obviously with different models and clothing. Same thing here. You don't have to do one like this, but this is a pretty common style, I think. This one has blinking text, which I would warn you against. It gets pretty annoying. That one has blinky text too. Here, these little decorations move a little bit, just to give it a little bit of attract your eye, right? So part of the problem with animation in advertising is over the years, people have gotten sort of used to the idea that if something's animating, especially on the side of the frame, right, over here on the side of your browser, then it's probably an ad. So it can kind of backfire and people don't look at it because it's animated. So you have to be careful with that. I think you get the idea. Bee's knees. That's only 2 frames, I think, looks like. Maybe 3. I guess 3. No, 2 maybe. No, 3, because it's going back and forth. This one's kind of cool. Just some, it's blinking text, but it's kind of cool. It's got this glow, like neon glow. I have this green purse. I love it. Goes with all my stuff. And you get the idea. So that's a link to, that is right. Did I lose the link? Right here. There's also a couple of articles, the uses and drawbacks of animated GIFs, practicalities of using animated GIFs, ultimate guide to using animated GIFs in your marketing. So those are just other articles and things. So that is the assignment. Let me show you some examples that I have. Do you guys have any questions before I show you examples?
No.
No.
No, thank you.
Okay, let's see. I lost my samples. Oh, here we go. Okay. So this is one that, these are all students. So this is one, this student actually had a company that made creme brulee. And he got an A automatically because he brought some of them to class. So you see how this is all the same, and this is just, he's just rotating the pictures of the creme brulee there. Let me make another window here. So this is the size that you guys are doing. I can zoom in a little bit, but. So what would you say someone in, you can put it in the chat too if you want. What would you say is an issue with this one? Like maybe there's some problems with it or things that could be improved. Any ideas?
The attention is in both, in the girl and in the logo.
Say that again.
The attentions is in the logo and in the girl. Too many things.
Oh, too many.
Your attention.
Yeah. Well, I get. So you mean that there's two things at once, or too many things to look at?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one good point about that is you do want to be careful about animating too many things at once because you can't look at two things at once, right? You can't look over here and you can't look at here at the same time. You can go back and forth, but do be careful about animating a lot of things at once, especially on opposite sides of the composition, because then people are going like this, right? They can't do that. So try to direct the viewer's eye with the animation.
But technically, can we play with logo like this to rotate it and move it?
Yeah, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Things that I was thinking about, maybe issues with this one is this text is not super easy to read, especially when it's moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's maybe a little bit of issue with that one.
And I think the height of the middle picture is like a little bit bigger than the frame.
Yeah, you can actually see a little bit of a edge to it, right?
Yeah.
But it's very tight. So it's probably a little too big in that spot. And then this text is probably a little too small.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because I'm zoomed in. If I go back to normal size, that's pretty small. Okay, let's look at a couple of more. This one's kind of fun. It says need animation. And it kind of morphs from this guy or from the ball of clay to this guy.
Right.
Now this text could probably be more pronounced, right? It could be over here, it could be bigger. I don't really know what the product is. I guess it's called Morph Film Kit, but it's a little strange because that's lowercase and it's, So it could
Very
be
cute.
improved a little bit.
Negative space, the white space is more.
Yeah, there's a lot of, so that's what I mean. You could probably move this text over here, right? And then it'll be bigger, easier to read, and use the space better. This one is, has some good qualities to it. So he did this all in black and white. So that solves the problem of too many colors, right? Because if you're doing black and white is it's 256 shades of black and white in a normal grayscale image. So he could use a full kind of color palette, well, black and white palette. But it kind of works well. Now I'd say that this is maybe a little long. Remember that people don't want to, let me refresh this. Let's see how long it is.
Don't want to stay a lot.
It's a lot of text, right? And it's a lot, and it's pretty long. So
Yeah.
remember that how long are people going to look at these? They're not going to look at them very long.
Yeah,
don't
but
wanna
he's
look at them in
creating
the
he's
first
creating
place.
suspense.
What's that?
He's curating a bit of
It
suspense.
creates
Like, okay,
suspense, but how many times have you watched an ad and said, "Oh, I'm intrigued"? Probably not very many times, right?
but he's very handsome, so.
Yeah, he's handsome.
Yeah.
He is handsome.
And creative.
Yeah. Here's another one.
Oh,
Text it in the ad.
Yeah, so this is a Vita, right? Which is a of lotion, right? I don't know if that comes. It's a lotion, right?
This is fun.
I don't know if that comes through really. And then
No.
I don't get why is there an ad for Zoolander in the corner? What does that have to do with?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
A mermaid.
A mermaid. This
A
one's really
male.
really nice.
it's a merman, I think. Ooh, that's scary. Oh,
So that's a really good one, right? It's a PSA, public service announcement, pretty much. And it
Yes.
comes and plucks this person out, and then it has a call to action at the end. So call to
Right.
action is this red button that says get involved.
Yeah.
Call to action just means you want your user or your viewer to do something, right? You want them to get involved. So that's the call to action. Maybe it could be there a tiny bit longer on that last frame, but yeah, I think that's really effective. And you can do horizontal or vertical too. He did a vertical on this.
It looks very nice.
Professor, is this professional or is this
No, these are all students from this class.
wow,
From
students?
well, yeah.
This is
These are some good ones, right? I'm
Right.
not showing. I'm trying to get you inspired, right?
did he use
Wow.
Illustrator?
Yeah, I think that one was. I think he did probably because I think he made this, but I don't know actually. But I think he made it from scratch. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So you'd
Good
have to
job.
have some Illustrator skills or something, right?
Oreen land. Yeah.
Once Upon a Time book. So this one has a little issue in that it is probably too fast. So I call it timed reading. When you have text that has to be read, you have to leave enough time for it to be read. And like I said, part of the problem with doing these yourself is you know what the text says already. So you're going to say like, well, okay, it says this and then it says that. But you know what it says, so you don't have to read it. But if you show it to someone else, like how many of you guys could read that before it's gone?
I couldn't.
You can't. The first time, maybe the second or third time, maybe you can get through it.
Yeah.
So watch out for that. And what you can do to prevent that is while you're working on this, show it to someone else, see if they have time to read it, if there's text to read, right? Here's another one. So this is what happens when you use, now I like this one and it fits the style of the Gorillas. It's a band, right? That they do this animation stuff. But you see the dithering in here?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dithering in these images because there's a lot of colors and he's trying to get the file size down. So be careful with using stuff that has a lot of colors. Here's another one. Simple, right? So fast and simple is good because, you know, people aren't going to stay and watch forever. I remember what this one is. Oh, we don't want to talk about viruses. Never mind.
Like Corona.
This one is, I think this one was done from scratch too. Don't do a got milk one. Everybody does got milk. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just some examples. I think that's it. So what I was going to do is show you how to do one in the style like these, or maybe like sort of like these, where it's basically like a slideshow, right? So there's not really movement per se. Here's what we're, well, let me show you the other one as well, if I have it handy. The one in the video is like this. So you can watch, this one has movement, right? So the car drives across and then the text fades up. So Photoshop lets you do some of this in a kind of an automated way using keyframes and in-betweening and things like that. I'll let you guys watch that offline because there's a video for this one. But for example, you can have it, Photoshop move the car for you, the in-between frames. So you kind of set up individual frames and then it does the rest a little bit. But that's one style, right? That's movement. In a lot of those examples I showed you, there wasn't really any movement, right? It's just things changing. It's not like there's anything going around the screen or anything. Some of them, but not a whole lot of them. So I'm going to show you how to make one like this right now. So let me zoom in here. Actually. So I'm zoomed in past 100%. That's why it looks kind of fuzzy there. But so it just says hungry for quality, and then you see some fruits and vegetables, and then target. That's it. So it's what's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 seconds, something like that. So this is fairly easy to make, and I'll take you through it. So basically what you want to do is you want to gather the elements that you want to use. So all I did, if you can see my layers here, is I went to Pixabay or one of the other stock photo sites, and I got images. I just looked up images of a pan and images of fruit and then images of vegetables. And then I looked for ones that had a white background so that they would fit together well, and then I could put the text in the other area, right? So that's what I looked for, and yeah, I just went to Pixabay here and looked up these images. And you can use images from anywhere for this, as long as we're not publishing these, right? So just for class, right? So that's, and then I got the target logo somewhere, this layer there, so that I could use that for the end frame. So the end frame is the one that you want to get your call to action kind of memorable thing, right? So I wanted to end on the target logo so that you know, the user knows, oh yeah, it's Target. I click on that and I go to Target and buy some fruits and vegetables or whatever. So let me show you how I can make this. I'm gonna make a new file. And I'm gonna do this one as 300 by 250, but that's not the size you're doing, but this is the one I did. It's another typical size. So I did 300 by 250, and I'll zoom in a little bit. And then I have a folder, which is not that one. I have a folder that has all the files in it. So here's my folder with my files. I have the apples. I have the vegetables. I have this one. And I think that's it, right? And then the Target logo. So what you can do, and there's a lot of ways to do this, obviously, but what you can do is, if you gather your images, you can drag them into the Photoshop, and it will do, it'll link the file. So it's resolution independent. So if I just drag that in, and I'll get an X there, and I can move it around, I could scale it. So if I want to scale it, I just drag the corners. And if I hold down Option, it'll drag from the center. But I'm actually going to just put it up here in the corner like that and hit Enter, and then it's there. So this is now an embedded or a linked file there, and you can see the little icon there. That means it's not, that file is referencing the external file, so it makes it so that I can resize it And if you've had Rick's class, you know he likes to do that, right?
Yeah.
So that you can resize it and it won't damage it or change it, right? I can always resize it because it's referring back to the original file or sort of a version of the file. It might not be linked, it might be embedded, but it's a good way to do it. So that is the apples, and then here is the second one. So I'm just going to drag these in and size them as I do it, and put them up here in the corner because I kind of planned this ahead, right? So I'm kind of know, and that's a good thing to do too, is to kind of plan ahead, because once you start animating it, if you make changes to what you were planning, it can be a kind of a problem. It can be cause you some problems. So plan ahead. A lot of times I recommend doing a storyboard for this, meaning just draw out the frames, what you think on a little, like we did sort of with our drawings of our pages, but do them as frames. It's called storyboarding. And it lets you plan out your animation ahead of time before you start doing it in Photoshop. And then it's a lot faster to change drawings than it is to change the Photoshop stuff. And then here's the target logo. And that one I'm gonna leave in the middle. So now I've got my 4 layers over here in the layers panel. And I can make these bigger too to make, because it's easy, it's good to see this a little larger. I'm gonna go to panel options, and I don't see the panel options. There we go. And you can make bigger thumbnails so you can see what's going on a little better. And then I need I want a clean white background. So I'm gonna go down to the bottom here, right there. I'm gonna click on a new layer icon, and then I'm going to drag it to the bottom. And then I'm going to fill it with white. So I can go to edit and fill right there. And then I can pick white. Oh, wait a minute. I need to go in this artboard. Don't like the art. So I had to drag it into the artboard. Now I go to edit and fill. And, oh, wait, I did select it, didn't I? There we go. One more time. No, it's not selected. Okay, I'm gonna use the shortcut. I did a command delete. I'm not sure why it wasn't letting me do that, but okay, so now I've got my white background. Then what I want to do is I want to set up the first frame. So, and turn on the timeline. So I'm going to close this timeline so you can see how you get to that. So I go up to Window and then Timeline right here. One of the 400 windows in Photoshop. So I go to Timeline, and then I get this timeline that shows up at the bottom right there. And then at the right here, it says create frame animation. So when you first open this, it probably says this, create video timeline. You don't want to do this one. You want to do a frame animation. So I'm going to click on the little arrow and go to create frame animation. And this is actually a button. It's not super clear that this is a button, but it is. And you click on that, and then you get a frame animation. So you should see your first frame there. That's the number 1. And then you have some controls down here. And I can make this bigger as well. I'm going to click on this little flyout menu over here and click on panel options. And I want bigger thumbnails so I can see what's going on. There we go. All right. So now I've got my first frame. So all I do now, is if I'm just doing turning things on and off, I want to just set up the first frame, and I am missing one. I'm missing the layer that says what my text, right? So I'm going to click on my type tool here, and then I'm going to click in my window and say hungry for, and it's underneath there. That's why I can't see it. Quality. Is that what I said in my video? I can't remember. Or my previous one. And I can't see that because it's underneath these other layers, but if I hit enter now, I made that text and I can drag it on top. There we go. So it's hungry for quality. And I actually had already picked the font that I was going to use. And I looked up the font for Target, and it's a very similar font to Helvetica Neue, which is right here. So I use that font. It's not exactly the same font, but you want to use a font that makes sense for your product, right? Or your branding of your company that you're doing. So I wanted to use a font that was close to what the Target logo has and the font that they use. So that's why I did that. All right. So now I've got all my layers in there. Now I'm just going to turn off the layers I don't want. So the first layer, I think I'm going to use this one. And turn these off. And this I'm going to scale again. So if you want to scale something, you can just click on it and then drag out. Since this one doesn't have a white background, I'm going to scale it so it's a little bigger, so I don't have to worry about trying to match the backgrounds or cut it out or anything. Just being a little lazy. There we go. So there's my first frame. And it says hungry for quality. So then down here, you can see there's my first frame, right? To make a new frame, I click on the little plus right there. That duplicates the frame that you're on. So now I've got two frames, right? But they're both exactly the same. So if I click back and forth, you would be going back and forth between the frames, but they're the same, so nothing changes. So now you just make changes to what you want to change. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the second frame by clicking on it. Then I'm going to turn on the apple layer by clicking on the eyeball. And then I'm going to turn off the eggs. So now I can see, here's my first frame. I click on it. Here's my second frame. And I can do that one. And I can still move these. Well, I don't want to try to, I'm going to try not to move anything around, because that's where you get in trouble. If you start going to one individual frame and then you move something and then it's different from the rest and it becomes a kind of a mess. So I'm going to try not to move it around. But if you do have to move it, you can. You just have to go back and fix it in the other places. There are also some commands like over here in the flyout menu, you can say match layer across frames right there. And that can help fix problems if you change something in one frame. Okay, so now I've got the two frames. Now I'm going to go to the third frame. So I duplicate the frame again. Now I'm going to turn on the vegetables. Nobody wants to see vegetables, so I'm doing those last. And there's my turn off the apples.
Ask a little bit low.
So now I've got the eggs and then the apples and then the vegetables. And then that's my third frame, right? And then I go to my fourth frame, and I think I'm only doing 4 frames, yeah. So I'm going to click on a new frame, turn off the vegetables, turn off the text, and turn on the Target logo. So now it does 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames, 4 frames. Good?
Good.
So it's so if I play it now, it does that. What's wrong with that?
Too fast.
Ah, I'm having a seizure, right? You don't want that. So what happened, by default, it has a delay. That's what this number down here is, says 0. That's the delay, meaning how fast it's going to try to play. So 0 is impossible. It's not going to play at 0. That'd be like some sort of time travel thing. So it's going to play it as fast as it can. So you change these to change the delay between the frames. So I'm going to put in 2 seconds for the first, and you can actually select more than 1 frame by holding shift. And then I'm going to do 2 seconds for those 2. And then I'm going to do other for the last one. And that's where you can do, you can put in whatever frame speed you want. And I'm putting in 3 seconds.
Oh, 3 seconds.
So I did 2, 2. Remember we said you kind of want to hang on the message, right? Which is often the last frame. I'm trying to think if it ever wouldn't be the last frame. Yeah, it depends. So in this one, I want to hang on the target, right? Because I wanted them to see the logo and then click on it and then go to Target and spend their money, right? So here it has 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Now if I play it, you can see what it looks like. Yeah, that's fine. Simple, right?
Yes.
And then a couple other things to change down here. So you'll see what this button is for in the other video. The other video is for motion. So I'm not doing any motion, right? All I'm doing is turning on and off layers. Nothing moves. It's just this kind of a slideshow. But this button is for kind of motion stuff. There's also play controls here, so I can go back and forth, or I could click on these to do that as well. And then there's also, this button will switch back and forth between a video timeline and a frame timeline. You don't need that, but that's what that button does. The last thing here is how many times does the animation play? So how many times should it play? Should it play forever?
No.
It could. Sometimes they do. My opinion is that that gets annoying for people, right? So you can pick once, 3 times. Isn't that a song? Once, 3 times a lady or something like that. Once, 3 times forever. I'm gonna go other. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say 4 times.
Oh.
I'm just picking 4. One weird thing about this, at least it used to be, some browsers, when you put in the loop count, it would play 1 less than the loop count. I don't know why. And some would play 3 and some would play 4. I don't know if that's still true, but I'm gonna say 4. So I think that's it. So now I'm gonna save this, which I should have done earlier. I'm gonna go save as, because I already have an animation here. I'm gonna call it animation 1. So you wanna save this because you can go back and obviously edit it, right? So I'm gonna save it as animation 1. And now I can open it and all the animation information will be there, and I can change whatever I want. So now I want to export it. So you want to save 2 files in this case. You want to save your PSD file, which I just did, and I want to save my GIF, which is my one that would actually go on the website. So I'm going to click on File, Export, and this one you have to use the Save for Web legacy. If you try to do an export as a GIF, it won't animate. It's kind of stupid, but I'm gonna go to Save for Web Legacy, which I think we looked at right a long time ago. And then I pick GIF up here for the type of file. And then I can see it here, and you even get little playback controls here in the export window. And what you wanna do is reduce your number of colors, just like any old GIF, to the right number of colors. That is probably not enough. Actually, it looks kind of cool. There's 8.
64, maybe.
There's 16. I'm betting it's like 128 or something.
64.
64. Still looks kind of dithered. So 128. Looks pretty good. If I zoom in, see, I can see that's called banding. See that? Compared to that. So I could go higher and it will be better. So I'm all the way up to 256. So I can't go higher than that. But my file size down here says it's only 56, which is pretty good. And that's because I have a lot of white back here too. So that's why white, clean backgrounds are good. You don't have to, but they're easier on the file size. And that's it. You can leave all the rest of the same. I could probably turn off transparency. I'm not using transparency, so I could turn that off. And the rest, you can probably leave it at the default. We won't worry about it. And I'm gonna click save. And now I'm saving it as a GIF. So I'm gonna say animation1.gif. And that's it. So it closes up. My animation PSD is still there. I'm gonna save that again. And then my GIF is now on my desktop, which I can show you. So once I have it on the desktop, now you guys are gonna see how messy my desktop is. I lost it. Did I put on the
Animation.
Yeah. Where'd it go? Let me try it. Let me do this one more time. I'm going to put it in the right folder here. Save for web, same settings, save.
Documents.
Now I know where it is. Yeah, it's a good example of you got to know where things are. So here's the animation I just made, and I can drag that directly into a browser. So here's a browser, right? I can drag that directly into a browser and see what it looks like. Oh man, I really want some vegetables now. I'm gonna go to Target. Nah, it's not that good. It's okay.
So
all right, so that is an example of how to do an animated GIF for frame-based animation.
may I ask a question?
Yeah.
So can I conclude, since your file size was 50K, that this whole, this GIF is 200K then, this file size, or?
The limit for yours is 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that mean, because every picture is 50K, that the GIF?
Oh, no. So that GIF, that's a good question. So that GIF is 59 kilobytes, but that's the whole thing.
Okay, so that's
the whole
not bad.
file.
But that's because you have a lot of white space, huh?
Probably, and there wasn't any movement.
Oh, that's right. Of course,
things like that, and there wasn't any.
Yeah.
But the other example that I showed you probably was, well, it was probably pretty small too. So
it's probably the bells and whistles that make it larger,
so
huh? Yeah.
When you do fades, like you'll see in the video for the other animation, the one that I showed you with the car, right? The text fades up and things like that.
Yeah.
That all adds file size because you have to cover those colors and those changes from frame to frame.
Yeah.
So that it will get bigger.
So you can use pretty large picture file sizes because it's gonna, if you don't add a whole lot of animation, it's not gonna matter. And
so here's the original that I did before class, but it's basically the same one I just did. So that file is 2 megabytes, but that doesn't matter because that's just the Photoshop file.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Let's see how big this one is. It should be about the same. Let me see. So that was the one I just did with you guys, and that one is 1.8 megabytes, but that's the PSD file. We don't care about the size of the PSD. No. We only care about the size of the animated GIF.
The God is Friday without the T.
What's that?
Never mind. TGIF without the T.
Oh, yeah.
Ha ha ha.
So that's that. I was going to show you guys how to do a GIF from an animation or a GIF from a video, but maybe I'll show that on Wednesday, but I have a video up for that anyway. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
If we complete a GIF file, save it, and then we realize we have to move a little bit and change anything, like in this example, if we want to change in apple basket a little bit lower, so how we can do
well, this one, it wouldn't matter. I could go to this frame. You mean I want to move this?
Yeah, so
you can move that. What I was getting at is, so if I move this apple, it's okay. It doesn't do anything.
So we have to.
But if I move, here's where it gets to be a problem. If I move this text, here's my text, right? Let's say I move my text here. I actually moved on all of them, yeah. Sometimes if you move a layer or do something to a layer in one frame, it will not do it in all frames. So it might surprise you, but it looks like it's doing it. So I'm moving it. No, see, now it's messed up. So I did it enough times where it decided not to work for me. But you can kind of go back and forth and then tweak the position using arrow keys. Let me see if I can get this to, yeah, let me go to match layer across frames. Yeah, so that can fix this too. So if I go to I select the layer, right? Here's the layer. Here's the first frame. If I click this little flyout menu down here that says match layer across frames, then I can have it match position, visibility, and style. So I'm going to say OK and see if it fixed it. Yeah, it did. So if you, yeah, see now, but then that's on this frame. So I have to turn it off now. Yeah. So it's, you can definitely make changes after, but I would try not to just because it causes you problems. But you can, obviously. So. All right.
Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions about the GIF? So like I said, there is a video.
Yeah, I have another question. You did the purpley, the transparent background initially, and then you fill up in white color. There's a purple.
Yeah, so on the background,
Yeah.
I added a layer.
No,
which is
initially you
right.
started with transparent background, and then after you add a color.
Yeah, but you can also start with, if I do a new file, and you can pick a white background if you want, or black, or transparent, doesn't matter.
Okay.
But if you want something specific, then you can always put in a new layer and fill it with the color. Yeah. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so the video tutorials are up for this week. So we'll go over equal height boxes on Wednesday, but you guys can definitely watch it before that. Here's the animated GIF from a video. Looks like, shows you how to take a video and then make an animated GIF from it, which is pretty popular nowadays. And then here is the other video on doing the other kind of video, or doing the other kind of animation.
I want to clean all because.
So that's the one that with the car, and that one involves motion, and it's called tweening, in-betweening, and things like that. So it's a different style, but and you can definitely do that, and I would watch that one. And this one's actually the size that you're doing for your assignment too. So, but you can do either kind. Okay, I think that's it for the animated GIF. Let me go back to our page. Find it again. Yeah, I think that's it. So does anybody have any questions about the animated GIF assignment?
So what is the due date? What is we have to
next Monday.
Next Monday. Oh.
Yeah. It's pretty quick. I mean, not that quick, but you don't have to do any coding this week. How about that?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I
And it obviously helps if you're, if you have experience with Photoshop. I realize it obviously helps if you do. So I'm not going to hold it against you as far as that goes. I know some of you are really great at Photoshop and some don't have much experience with it, but check out the videos on it that I have, and then that will probably help. So.
I have a question.
Yes.
How you can recommend, I don't know how to ask. I wanted to put my logo with movement. The kids in my website, in the last website, has 2 kids. And I wanted to move their hands. Something like very slowly, and just when you go to the website, that it's you can recommend that, or it's not good the logo with movement?
Let me see. Is this Rosilia?
Yeah, I'm Rosalia. Hi.
Yeah. Okay. I have to read your voices. So this is your site. So you're talking about this moving?
Yes, yes. I wanted to the hands of the
Oh,
arm
the little hands
that
moving?
just moves slowly, but just when you go to the site
Right.
website,
You could do that. I mean, that would be, did you make this logo?
I buy it.
Oh, you bought it.
Uh-huh.
Well, you could. I mean, that wouldn't be, it would be good if you had it as separate as a file that had the hands as separate layers, you know? But you could probably cut it out and figure it out. But as far as the idea of animating it, you don't see that a lot. Because again, animation, you kind of use it to attract the eye, right? So if I'm reading down here and then I see something move and I look up there and then I'm like, well, okay, they're waving, and then I'm reading something else and it moves up. You really want them to look up there every couple of minutes? You said just at the beginning, maybe that would be okay.
Yeah, just the beginning, but
so you could do an animation where it just ran, you would just do the once, right? Or twice maybe or something.
oh, okay.
So you could set it to run once or twice and then it wouldn't do it anymore. I don't know if that's worth it maybe, but yeah, that's fine. I mean, you could do that. I haven't seen it a lot. There used to be a lot of GIF animation in the early days, just kind of gratuitous animated GIF logos. Like if we look it up, I bet we could find some long ago, like really long ago. Animated GIF logo. Google animates theirs sometimes, I think, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of old school. So
Different.
Some of these are, so these aren't GIFs.
logos.
These are, well, maybe it's a GIF. I don't know. Seems like it'd be huge, but that's not a logo. But these are animated GIFs, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's done. I just haven't, I don't remember seeing it very often. This is an app. Let's see if, well, that's too big. That might work for, this is not just up in the corner of a page, right? This is sort of a splash page or something maybe. Yeah. I guess. I don't remember seeing it very much.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but you can, definitely. Other questions about that or the animation? All right, so I think that we'll stop there. And then we'll do the rest on Wednesday. We'll look at some of that other stuff. And if you've done some work on the animated GIF by Wednesday, we can look on that too and talk about, questions you might have or anything. And then we'll also go over the cascade and the equal height boxes and things like that.
So if you would like to incorporate a GIF on your website, that kind of takes up a lot of memory, no? Or
no.
Oh no, it's small. It's still fairly small.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
So you don't recommend, for instance, creating a button and then sending it to an external, or you just include it like as it.
Oh, you mean the animation? If it's an animation.
I'm just thinking of my own restaurant. Like for instance, when it's 4th of July, I could make fireworks come out of our logo sometime. But I wonder how much that bogs down the website.
You mean file size questions?
Yes.
No, it'd be fine probably.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't do, so it's kind of a function of how many frames there are. Right. If it's a huge animation, like this big, then it's going to be bad. Well, not bad, but it's, but if it's a little animation and it's short and it doesn't use a ton of colors, it's not going to add any appreciable delay to your site.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, these, like I said, these have been around for 20 years, maybe.
Right.
Well, not 20, but 18, 15 years. And so old computers with very slow processors and things like that, we're fine with it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll see people doing like really big elaborate ones now. It's going to show you, let's see. Let me see if I can find this one real fast. And then I'll let you guys go. Yeah, here's one. This is from the movie
House of Rock.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh.
And so they did this kind of
with shadow,
matrixy kind of bullet time animation of him playing like that. But that's an animated GIF that they used to promote. But it's gigantic. It's 4 megabytes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they did with it, but maybe they sent it to, you know, movie reviewers or something to get them to notice it. But it's pretty cool, right? And it's just
super cool. Yeah.
Just an animated GIF.
Shadow is reflecting the.
Yeah, well, I think they probably did it like they did the scene from the old Matrix movie where they shot it with a bunch of cameras at the same time. And then you just stack the images next on top of each other and it does that. That's how that was done. Huh. Probably, I think that's what they did, so.
Very cool.
Anyway, anything else? So I'll hang around for lab. If anybody has questions about, more questions about things. And we're going to look at your assignment 13s on Wednesday as well, if we have time. But yeah, thanks for coming back to class. I hope everybody's doing well.
Whoop, whoop.
Locked in their houses. Does everybody have toilet paper? That's the main question.
Yes!
Yeah. How many of you are like me and you know all these people, friends of yours or relatives that hoarded and made it short for everybody else? I know people with like 100 rolls of toilet paper.
Well, I would unfriend them.
Well, I can't. It's my brother and sister. My brother-in-law, I think, cleaned out Costco one day or something.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe not.
I think they got like a restriction on how much you can get now.
Yeah, now, but it's too late now, right? It's like people have a year's worth of toilet paper now.
We are using water. There's no need to.
What's that?
We are using water. I think.
Oh yeah.
Like a bidet.
Yeah, somebody said bidets might, be more popular now.
Rise and bidets.
I never really liked those, so yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't have to share. You don't have to share.
Yes.
Hey, can you show how
Sounds like a recipe for disaster for me.
For free again for students this semester?
What's that?
Can you show how to get Photoshop for free?
Yes. So it's so you just go to Creative Cloud. I might have to look this up. Creative Cloud. Yeah,
you have a link, I think.
Yeah. Did I sent you guys a link, right?
Yeah.
Is it creativecloud.
Is that on Canvas or on the website?
I sent an email and I think I put it on.
Oh.
And then use your WVM email account.
Yeah, so if you do creativecloud.adobe.com/apps, you get to this same account. And then you put in your Mission College email.
Okay, and
then I can't show you because I already have an account, but then you click on create an account, put in your Mission College email, and then it will say, well, let's see what happens if I do this. Yeah, you got to fill that out. And then it will say, I think it says individual account or school and organization account or something like that. You want to click on school and organization account.
What I remember is I just signed up and you immediately are invited to install all those programs.
Yeah. And I think
you have to know your email.
You have to use your, you got to use your Mission College email though.
And it's very funky.
School
it's like
what?
It says something like personal account, I think, or school or organization account or something. So you want to click on the, if it asks you that, click on school and organization. And then it will install. So I did it with someone in a different class yesterday and it seemed to work. Has anybody done it?
Yes.
No.
And you got the free access, right?
Yeah.
So the free access is only until like the end of this semester in May?
I think it's May 31st is what they said. But you still can get the, you still could get the $40 a semester, 6 months, which is college buys. Remember that? And then you go shop for students, collegebuys.org. We went over this, I think, in the syllabus the first day. And then you go here and there's Creative Cloud for $40 for 6 months. So if it runs out in May and you want to keep it, yeah, I think you can probably upgrade the account, but I don't know how that works. Because right now it's a special deal because of what's going on. They gave everybody free access for the rest of the semester. That only people that are at schools that had site licenses like we did. Not every school, I don't think.
So
yeah.
And you don't know what'll happen after the May 31st?
I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know if anybody knows about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if you still have to pay or it just won't work anymore.
Yeah, so I think what it does is it might ask you to sign up. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. And you could still do the 30-day free trial afterwards to milk it.
Yeah, I think it's only a 7-day now or something, or 14
I think it's 7 days.
Yeah, they used to be 30 and now it's like 7.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, after we're done with it, can we like just uninstall it, or is there like a process?
So when you install it, you'll get an app like you'll get this app, which is the app that it's the Adobe Cloud app, Creative Cloud app, and it lets you update, open, delete, whatever you want to do there.
But they don't have your credit card information, so they cannot charge you or anything. So.
Yeah, that's true, right? Unless you give it to them. Yeah, they're not going to charge you automatically, I don't think. They can't. Unless you give them your credit card.
Yeah, most likely if you don't pay them, they probably it'll just probably stop.
Yeah, it probably will not work anymore.
Cease and desist.
So usually what happens with Creative Cloud, if you don't renew your account, after a while, it'll ask you to log in and then you won't be able to log in, or it won't let you log in and then it won't work.
Oh yeah, I think that happened when I tried Microsoft Visual Studio. After a trial period, it just kept asking me to log in.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any questions or anything?
No.
No. Okay.
You'll post this this video.
Yeah, I'll post this video too, so you'll see how to do this one.
I saw the link to live recordings. Do you to the Dropbox website? Do you have to like download those videos, or can you like watch them on the browser?
You can watch them on the browser, I believe. So if I go to the class webpage, I think it's on there, right?
Yeah, the top there. The link.
Yeah.
Recording.
So if I click there. Yeah, when I tried it, it showed up there. So here's the meetings from the ones we've done so far. And if you click on one of these, yeah, you can play it right in the browser.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't put any comments in here just because I don't know if anybody will ever see them. Like maybe people that go later, but I don't get notified about any comments in here that I know of.
Jongens, even stil zijn alsjeblieft.
Okay, thank
you. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you Wednesday then.
Mittwoch, ja.
Wednesday, same time. Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.